Today we are going to go over our Integrator Tools Experience Bundle. But first off, I want to just tell you a little bit about Syndev and who we are. My name is Jamie Paris. I'm going to be the presenter today. We're a pretty small team of 5 people. We have 3 developers, one software tester, salesperson, which is myself, and then another driver support technician. To date, we've made over 100 Control4 drivers, and they're found in over 10,000 homes. And the thing I think that separates us the most is not only are we developers of software, we also own an installation business here in Colorado as well. So we install probably 30 to 50 Control4 jobs every year. And a lot of these drivers we built that I'm going to show you today are from the 15 plus years of installing Control4 jobs and finding better ways to, do them and make them more unified across each job. Because once you get 3 to 4 install crews, having them program the job and do notifications and all that stuff the same way becomes almost virtually impossible. So that being said, let's go ahead and just start with our Integrator Tools Experience Bundle. So with this bundle, you're going to get the main hub of this bundle is our Integrator Tools Agent driver. This handles all of the notifications for all of these drivers. We've pre-built every notification our customers have ever asked us for each one of these drivers. So for example, with our garage integration, we pre-built, door left open, door has failed to close, door failed to open, door open and door closed. So none of our technicians have to program for any of that stuff. They just go into Integrator Tools and they set the notifications and then figure out how they want them. And that goes for each one of these drivers. So we incorporated color lighting products, doorbells, garages, gates. We created a holiday and modes driver to do different modes during the year. We also incorporated locks, and then we also tied in your power devices to be able to create rack rooms for your customers. And we also did a battery detection that tracks all the battery devices in the project. We did our climate detection plus driver, which will handle like wine rooms, freezers, things like that. And then leak detection, you tie your water sensors to us. If any of them report a leak, you get notified. So that's pretty much what this bundle is. And if you sell more of our other products, we also do offer our Syndev driver bundle as well. So this is what we just install in every one of our projects. So we future-proof any things they add on in the future. If they add in a bond product in the future, we can load in the driver and automatically use it. If they want to incorporate AI in the ChatGPT driver, we could do that. Same thing with like a flow by Moen. So this is just a better solution. It's a one price. You get access to all of our drivers that we currently have or that we're going to make in the future as well. So those are a couple different options for you. So let's go ahead and before I move on to the integrator tools, I kind of just want to show you in X4. My house that I'm going to be doing this webinar on is on 343. So I just kind of want to show you how we're setting up projects in X4 currently. On the home page, we might put in a weather widget. We'll put in like either a live view of their cameras or just the cameras button. We sell a lot of Unify, so we'll put our Find Anything web UI app in there so they could look at their camera events and watch video playback. These are 2 new things that I'm going to be showing today. We have our new My Notifications web UI, which is pretty much once you set up the drivers, you no longer have to figure out what notifications your customers want. They can go ahead and set them themselves and how they want them. And then the same thing with the My Settings. This is an alpha right now, so we're not ready to release this yet, but I'm going to show it today. We allow them to change anything on the properties page of the driver. So for example, our garage driver has a left open timer. The customer can go in here and adjust it themselves. So pretty much you can just, once you set up the drivers, we're giving the clients control to be able to do, make the adjustments they want. And before I move on, I did forget to mention, if you have a question, please put it in the Q&A, and then the comment sections are turned on. So I am going to ask certain things during this webinar. Just want to get your feedback. If you could respond there, that'd be great. And then at the end of the webinar, you might get a survey. It'd really help us out. If you could just take a minute to fill that out, that'd be great. And then as far as like the rooms go, we'll set up the room where they have like the watch things outside of it. And then we might even set up like a dashboards building to where they can go in here and they can have like a home overview dashboard, a modes if they have like a home away vacation modes or want certain, like a morning mode. We might set up a rack room for them so they could easily reboot a device. Like a lot of times some of the old Joshes, you might have to reboot the PoE, you could do that. And then same thing, we might create lighting modes if they do like Lutron Ketra or other devices like that. So that kind of just wanted to show you briefly in X4 how we're setting things up. Now I'm going to move on to my personal house here. So here's how I have it set up at my house for the demo. The first one I'm going to talk about is our Integrator Tools driver. So why we built this is we wanted to create this for multiple different things. We wanted to create a service information and revenue stream for our technicians. So what we did here is we pre-built a whole bunch of hardware and system notifications. So you don't have to program for any of these. So if the project is loaded, updated, we send our service department an email on that. If a driver's updated, added, or removed, we also send our service department that. We also allow customer log in and log out. So if you wanted to, know when your technicians are remotely logging in or whatever, you could do that. And I'm just going to show you here in the My Notifications. So here under the system, you'll see here if I go to the Composer login, here it's all set, right? You see I have the integrator. We don't allow them to change your integrator part, right? But if they want to set a push notification, you see it automatically changed it there. So the customer can, like I said, again, decide how they want what notifications they want and how they want them. If they want to get a voice alert, they could do that. If they want to get a navigator pop-up, they can easily decide what they want, okay? And then finally, we also track your lighting hardware devices. It'll automatically load in any compatible lighting hardware from Control4, and it will send you information if there's a MOSFET failure, short circuit detected, things like that. So this would be good information for your service department to know, right? So if they keep having a short circuit or a MOSFET failure, you could go in there and call them and say, hey, did you want to get this replaced? And I'll kind of show you how some of these come through. So if I go to my service department, you'll see here's we have it tag, the Control4 project with the project name. So you could easily search by project name and then look at all the emails for that project and be able to see what's been happening at that house. So that's something we kind of, like I said, we wanted to create that for our service department to be able to give them information on, the house and the projects, right? So I just wanted to show you that. Let me go back here. So that's on the service and all that stuff. And then we also track your climate hardware as well, which is the Control4 thermostats. And then, like I kind of briefly mentioned earlier too, is each one of our drivers has pre-built notifications. So and then again here, if they were to go to their battery, so I'll go to my demo battery, you see I have low battery. It's set to yes for push, and it's set to, it's set to yes there. So if I were to, let me make sure, this is my regular one here. Let me go to my demo. Sorry, that's why it's different. Okay, so I have my push alert is set to yes, and my voice alert set to yes. So if the customer wanted to turn that off, they could easily just turn that off themselves. So like I said, we thought this would bring tons of value to your customers, so when you hand off the project, you can just show them this app and show them how they can decide what notifications they want and how they want them. So let's just get into the setup now. So what you need to set it up is we do offer 4 different email groups. The integrator, we don't let them change, but they can easily change their owner email. If they have a property manager, they could change that themselves. If they want to email a neighbor on certain things, they could do that as well. They could change the default subject line. Instead of saying my Lakewood smart home, they could just have it say my Vail smart home or whatever they want to do. And then the good thing too that we've added in that's different than the Control4 email server is you can send multiple camera snapshots with events in this. And you can also set a reply to email. So if they get an email that a battery's low or something, they could reply and you can have it go to your service department and they could just reply to your service department saying that, can you please take care of this or whatever. So that is all built into this. And the great thing too is in the Control4, if you were to do through the email agent, each one of those programming emails you're doing, if the house sells and now the owner email address changes, you got to redo all your programming. Here, you just reset the owner email address and you're done. So and none of your programming gets affected. So that's the email setup. Push, we just allow you to set up what category and severity you want, and then the default subject line. The only thing we give the customer access to, we could add these in if you think they're important, but we just had to let them change their default subject line. We also built in text to voice alerts. So if your customers want to get voice alerts, you can set those up as well. You could do these through the announcement agent, through Control4 touchscreens, or through Sonos speakers. I have videos on all of this stuff. So since this is only an hour webinar, I have a lot to go over. So if you would like a private demo to go more in depth on any of these items, I'd be happy to do that. And just to kind of show you too, we do also have a YouTube channel that we have a lot of our feature videos and setup videos as well. So you could easily go there and find those. And just to kind of show you example, if I've done videos for them, they are under the videos tab of the driver as well. So under our garage integration, you'll see I have a features video and I have a full setup video. So I just wanted to point that out to you so you know where to find instructional videos, but I'd always be happy to do private demos as well. And then before we move on from the email, I sent this earlier so that you can see attention Paris family, your house is an alarm. So here is a email from our email server that has all 4 snapshots. So you could do that. Let's just say you had that repeating when the house is an alarm, send them an email every minute until the house goes out of alarm so they can get emails tracking what's going on at their house. You could do something like that. That's on that, but as for the demo on the text to voice, I am only going to show on the Sonos, but again, there you could set it up through an announcement agent or have them go through Control4 touchscreens as well. You're also able to pick your gender. So if you want it to be a male or female voice, and then there's lots of different models you can choose from. And here we allow them to change the gender and the voice. We don't want them to mess with the output device, but your customers can change this whenever they want, right? And then finally, the navigator pop-ups. We allow you to pick what navigators you want to go to, so any Control4 touchscreens. If the Control4 HDMI is hooked up to a TV, you can output it onto a TV as well. You can also add in your logo here as well. So I'm just going to show you this test image. I'm going to go ahead and run this as a test, and I'll show you the camera here. So it's popping up, and there is our logo saying, this is a test alert or whatever. So that's what the pop-up alerts would look like on your Control4 touchscreens. And what's great here too is, they can test these themselves down here, so the customer could test these. So, and they can even use this voice as to do whatever they want here. So if I were to delete this, then I could just say, thanks for joining my webinar. Okay, I'm gonna click it, I'm gonna hit test.
Thanks for joining my webinar.
So there, I'll put it to the Sonos device. They could use this as a voice launcher, things like that. What's great about this My Notifications web UI as well is it shows a history of all the events, right? So you can just see there, I just did that voice alert. There's a pop-up alert. There's, all these different things here. So, if you guys could let me know in the comments if you think this brings value. Like, so we thought this would, help tremendously. And, now we don't have to figure out what notifications our customers want. Once we set up all these drivers, we can just hand it off to them and say, if you go to your integrations tab, you can pick whatever driver you want. So if I were to go to, let's just say my demo front door, and then I have door unlocked by user, door hardware fault, door left open, whatever. They can just say, okay, I want to go door unlocked by user. I want to get a push alert and I want to get a voice alert. They decide what they want. You can set all these to no. easily by just going into here and say set all notifications to no under driver actions, hand it off to the customer, show them this app, and let them decide what notifications they want and how they want to receive them. So that's the My Notifications web UI. Again, all these, the main thing I want to point out is all these are pre-built. There's no programming required for any of these. So that's the great thing about this. I mean, to create a garage door left open with repeat notifications and all that, that might take you 10 to 15 minutes or more. Here, it's already done. You can just go in there and figure out how they want those notifications. Okay, I'm going to just briefly go over on the Integrator Tools all of the programming options you have, okay? So over here you can send any custom voice, any custom message. So I'm just going to go to, let's say, my unified camera. I'm just going to say when a package has arrived. Let me go here, package has arrived. I can just say, you know, attention, a package is at your door. Okay, I can tie in the camera snapshot. There it is there. I can say I want to send a voice alert, and I want to send a voice alert, or voice alert and a push alert, excuse me. So I'm just going to execute this.
Attention, a package is at your door.
Okay, and then here is the push notification there that the package is at the door. So you can see all of that, how quickly that works. And you could, you know, do that easily for any notification you want. And any notifications you build in here, you could use the mute notifications if you wanted to override them. So let's say they're having a party and they don't want any of their voice alerts to happen during their party. You could easily do that here. You could say, okay, I want to do for 4 hours, disable my voice alerts. And how I accomplish that is I just have a custom triggers, and I could say mute notifications for 4 hours and put it in there. And then it would mute them for 4 hours. And then let's say the party gets done in 2, they want their notifications back. You can just say, okay, I want to clear those overrides. Whoops. Clear the override, and you could just do that with another custom button or whatever. And then we do also offer different, you know, you can just do a push alert. So let's say there's certain push alerts you want to change the severity on or the category on. You could do that. If you want to send an email alert, you can do that. And this is where you would want to tie in multiple different camera snapshots. You could do that. If you do the global alert, it will only send one snapshot because push and navigator pop-ups only allow one snapshot. So it would be whatever the first snapshot you picked would come through. Oops. And then we also added in LED, you know, backlighting control, the status, you know, the top bottom control, keypad control, things like that. Another thing we added into the program to speed up projects is to be able to turn off all rooms. So you can just say, okay, I want to grab every room on my main floor. I want to turn off the AV. I want to turn off the lights, and I want to close the shades. You could do all that with one quick, easy to do, you know, programming. Let me delete that. You could also flash lights. So you could say, you could pick certain lights you want to flash, how long the interval in between each flash, and how long to run it for. You could also do a randomized lights. So let's say they're on vacation or whatever, and you want to run this for a couple hours. You could say, okay, I want to run it for 180 minutes. I pick these lights. They will change which lights are on or off for that, you know, in a rate of 30 to 180 minutes or whatever. There's that option in here. We also added in the ability to launch a QR code. So again, here, if I could say guest Wi-Fi. This will pop up to your Control4 touchscreen. So if I were to just type this, say guest Wi-Fi, and then I'm just going to put password here. And then I'm going to pick my touchscreen here. Okay. Put this in here. I'm going to go ahead and execute this and turn on my camera. There it launches a QR code. They scan it with their phone. They're able to log into your guest Wi-Fi. So all these things are built into Integrator Tools just to help, you know, you create better projects for your customers. And you don't have to hop around from all these different drivers to do all this. You could stay in one place to do all of your notifications, other Control4 programming, things like that. And then finally, if you ever needed to add refresh navigators for some reason, we added in the ability for that as well. So that's pretty much the integrator tools. Again, like I said, you need that driver to have all of the pre-built notifications found in the My Notifications. So the garage, you could do your manual programming with the Garage Integration Plus yourself, but if you're doing these over and over and over again, if you just buy it, like I said, when you buy the bundle, you get access to all of this, so you can just easily do these, and you don't have to do any programming for them. That's probably the biggest value, I think, out of this bundle at all. It's sped up our projects probably 5 hours on it when we incorporate a lot of these different experiences and stuff. All right, so that's mainly all of the integrator tools. Again, I know it was a lot. There's a lot of features in that. Again, I'd be happy to do a private demo if anybody needs on that. So I'll just take a quick minute here to see if anybody has any questions before I move on to the Integration Plus drivers. Okay, looks like no questions yet, so I'll just keep going. The next one I'm going to talk about is our Garage Integration Plus. This has many different features. So one of them is you're able to tie in keypad button linking, and to get that, it's hidden by default, but to add that in, you just go to driver actions, you say enable keypad button linking, it'll automatically pop this up, it'll create a connection in the connections tab for you to link it to a keypad and go from there, okay? Once you connect it to a relay and a contact, the driver's set up, ready to use. We have multiple different garage icons you can choose from. The only other things you need to set up is how long it takes from close to open. That's that timer there. And how long it takes from open to close. That's this timer here. I would add about a second or two to that because that's what our failed to open and failed to close timers run off of. So that's why we say to add a buffer there. Here is the left open timer. So if your customers wanted to add in change their left open, or you just set this to whatever they want. If you want to add in repeat notifications, let's say they want the original, then they want 2 more, you could easily add in 2 more. If they want to be able to flash let's say a light before it closes, they could do that here as well. And then just to kind of show this keypad button linking, what we did with this is I'm going to go ahead and go to my camera here again. I have it tied. Let me go to my camera. I have it tied to this top button here. So you'll see I have it set to green when on open, closed as blue, and then when it's moving, it's yellow. So it's going to flash between yellow and green here when it's moving here. So, whoops, excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open the garage door here, and you'll see this start blinking. So it's blinking, okay. Now it's open. I set it to 5 seconds, so once it's open, it turns green. Now I'm just to show you what the failed to close would look like, I'm going to go ahead and close it. I'm not going to flip my relay to say that, or my contact to say it's closed. So it'll turn red and you'll hear a voice
Attention.
alert.
Demo garage door has failed to close.
So there you see the icon changes. It shows an exclamation point that it's been failed to close. If it's failed to open, the arrow will be pointing open, right? If I were to close it, that goes away, and my keypad button turns back, the LED turns back. So those are some of the items you're able to do there. Excuse me. And then just to show you in the settings here, so and then real quick on the My Notifications, you'll see all these events happened here. So Demo Garage has closed, Demo Garage has failed to close. You can see each one of those alerts show up in their Events tab, right? And then the settings, My Settings, it just takes a minute to load here. Like I said, this is an alpha, so just bear with us. So on the garage door, you'll see here they have the settings to change their open time, their close time if they want, their left open timer, their repeat notifications, and so forth. They could even change their LED colors. So, we're giving them the access to change all of this stuff, giving the customers more control. In the settings driver, you can decide what they can see and not see, okay? So it's still up to you what they see, but we're giving them the control to manage their own Control4 system now. So, if in comments, if you guys could let us know if you think this is valuable or not, that'd be great. But these are the kinds of things we're wanting to kind of create to give the customers more control. And then just kind of show you the doorbell. They'll be able to change their doorbell sound, things like that. So, we're trying to just give them the control over, the certain things that you may want to give them. Before I move on for a garage, the other thing I do want to show is this is fairly brand new. It is in the latest update, but you're able to create your own custom icons for them. So if I were to go here, and then it'll load this web UI or this website, right? I click that. Now I have this website. You see here, I've already preloaded them in, right? So I've loaded in some custom icons already. So you pretty much go here and you grab an image to load it in. But this is like I said, you can just go in here, you can add in overlays. So if I wanted to add in a, up arrow, I could do that. If I want to add in a stop sign as well, I could do that. So that's what you can do. I'm going to go ahead and, then you just hit upload, it uploads them in, and then I showed this on the video a little bit more that I just released, but if I were to change this icon to the custom icon 1, you see it changes it to what I created, okay? So if I were to open it, you show it's opening. There it's open. You could put like the pictures of their cars in there or whatever. You have the ability to do this now. It works on almost any of our UI drivers. So you could do it with the sound effects. You could do it with our modes. You could do it with sound effects, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And there it shows it's closing, and now it's closed. So that's how you can add in, and we allowed multiple different ones to do. So if you load in the first preset, you could pick what other presets you want. So you could say, okay, now I want to upload into custom set 2. It'll create a custom icon set 2. You could do a custom icon set 3. So you can have up to 3 different icons for their garage integration. Same thing with gate on modes and power, and those we allow up to 10 different ones. If you ever want us to create a professional icon for you that doesn't have these background images, it would look more along the lines of like this one. If you wanted to more look just better with no backgrounds, things like that, we do offer to build this to send us in the pictures. We will do it for you. It's a $100 charge. We build it for you. We'll give you a key that you'll just enter into this, and then it'll automatically populate all these for you, so you don't have to worry about messing with the images yourself. So I just wanted to let everybody know about that. That's also a new feature. So now let's go ahead and move on to gate. So gate is pretty much the same as your garage. The only other feature that we have here is the hold open feature. So you're able to, hold it open, and it will you pick how long you want it to maintain open for. So I'll go ahead and, so you see here on a double tap, I have it to activate the hold open. So I'm going to go ahead and open this. So it's opening. I'm going to flip my relays here. So now it's open. So now I'm going to double tap.
Attention. Demo gate will stay open for 60 minutes.
So there's how it works. There's the hold open icon. Again, there you could use that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click it again to close it, to disable it, and then I'll close it. Okay. Okay, so now it's closed. So that's how the gate works. All the same features. You have your left open timer. Do you want to repeat those notifications? All that. You can even create the custom icons too. So you can see here I have one I've created. The customer asked for like a bollard gate, right? Ones that like come up from the ground or whatever, right? So you could easily do that as well. So the ability to be able to do these custom icons, I think, is a huge new feature. You're able to do that for lots of them. Next one is your lock integration plus. We tied it, you pretty much hook it up to a door lock relay, and then you could also hook it up to a door contact for positioning. So if you wanted to open it or whatever, you could do that. What we pre-built on this one is your door unlocked by user. So that's as long as the lock driver is compatible with our driver, it will automatically do those for you. So I have one here. I'm just going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. So the door is unlocking. See, it changes.
Demo front door unlocked by John Smith.
Okay, so I open it, I close it, so you can just see, kind of gives your customers a real life status of everything that's happening at their home. We do also have an auto lock feature. After 30 seconds, it will auto lock itself. So that will happen here down the road as well. So again, like I said, there's a lot more features to each of these drivers. I don't want to, since we only have an hour, I'm not going to get into every single feature, but if you, again, would like a private demo, let me know. I'd be happy to do that. Again, so they're just locked. You can see that there. Our doorbell integration. You'll see here we have, you could do it through, you can set it up as Control4 programming, or you could also set it up as a contact. I do want to note this, that the Control4 chimes and the DS2 do not have an actual contact for button press. So I would do it as Control4 programming, and then I would, under programming, I'd say, when that doorbell is pressed, because they have it under the events, when the doorbell is pressed, to go into your doorbell here and then just say play the sound, trigger the default doorbell sound there. So that's how you would just do that instead. But if you are using a Ring device that has the actual connection, I know like our Unify, if you use unified doorbells, we did make a connection there, so you can bind that to that. Again, here you can pick many different doorbell sounds. It looks at your local wave files on your controller as well. So if you had any here, so I have like a football doorbell I could do. We included some Control4 doorbell sounds, some of our own sounds, and then some holiday sounds as well. So if they wanted to have a Christmas doorbell, you could just do that here.
Merry Christmas.
Right? And then I'll show you, I have it live feeding to my camera. So there it goes to my touch screen. It shows the live video feed of what's happening at my door. Okay, so that's how that would work. And here's how you tie that live video configuration in. You just pick what display you want it to go to, what camera feed you want it to show, and how long you want it to show for. You could do a double tap action to mute the doorbell. So there it's muted.
Attention. Demo doorbell has been muted.
So there it's been muted. So, it won't, if you're doing dinner or something, you don't want it to go off, you could do that. Okay, so that's the doorbell integration. And again here, if they were to go in here, the customer, again, we give them the ability on the demo doorbell to change the sound, right? So if I were to go to, let's say, football song, it's loading, and it changed it to the football song, right? So I would come back here, I can go ahead and play it. So that's how the doorbell integration works. Sound effects works pretty much the same way. We just added in a whole bunch of different sounds you could do here, right? So this, if I were to go to, let's just say, rooster, I could play that. I accidentally double tapped it, my apologies. So that's how that can work. So you can create, like later here, I'll show like a sound room. You can create a little sound room to launch different sounds if you wanted to. Okay, looks like we're good. I will come back if there are any questions. So with our color integration plus, these tie to all of your, color changing lights, right? So Philips Hue, Lutron Ketra, Prolux, any of those different ones, right? So we allow you different modes for this, right? So you can have it set a single color, you can have it set a color temperature, you could have it set a pattern, you could have it set a color, select a color preset, or you can do an advanced lighting scene as well here. So you see here, this one is the advanced lighting scene. This one's just setting a color. You'll see here I have another one just to go to lime. Here is a color temperature. So you're able to change the color temperature if you do that. You have a relax, which is, this is setting a color preset. So I'm able to pick between all these different presets. If I wanted to change it to aqua morning, I could do that. You'd have to refresh navigators for this to change. Let me just do that. I'll try to look at the bar lighting here. So this one will be able to show you're able to pick different lighting scenes. Just bear with it here while it's refreshing. So here I'm able to pick all my different lighting scenes, right? So it shows all the different lighting scenes. If you're missing something, you just hit refresh list, it'll show that. And then finally, we have the ability to, do set patterns, right? So you could either do a rotate, you could do a randomize single, randomize multi, right? And so you could pick between different colors for it to go through, all these different things. So this is something I'd highly recommend checking out if you have color LED lights at your house. And again, one thing I forgot to mention earlier too is all of our drivers do come with a 30-day trial. So you could try all of these before you buy, right? So it's, feel free to try any of these drivers out and test them out for yourselves. The next thing I'm going to show is all of our power integration drivers. So let me just pull that up on our page here. So let me go. So power integration, we tied it with most of your PDUs out there, right? So we also wanted to give different icons for different things, right? So you have your you have your generic for cameras, just a power button, power outlet. You have your AV sources, so like Apple TV, Roku, video streaming, Xfinity, a AV rack, things like that. You have your network devices. So if you wanted to like power off a router, show a PoE switch, whatever, you could do that. We have appliances. So if they have appliances they need to reboot, you could do that as well. And then finally, energy icons as well here. So you have access to all of these different icons for your customers. So you could easily set up a rack room for them. And that's what I've done here. So like if there's certain pesky devices that they're always having to reboot, instead of having them walk down to your rack or something like that to do that, you could just give them a page to reboot these. And what this does is you're able to do it as, I have all these set as Control4 programming, but you could either group it, you can just do a single relay connection. So I'm gonna show a group connection here, right? So it's going to show it's offline. So I'm gonna go in here. So if I were to go to demo AV rack, let me go to my equipment room here. Hold on here. Okay, so in my equipment room, if I wanted to connect, this is set up on group, okay? So if I were to connect it to outlet 4, it's going to create a new relay connection for me. Did I set it to group? Hold on here. Oh, I apologize. I'll have to look into that. But normally what it would do is, let me see if I have it set up in my other rack here. Main rack room. So yeah, something must have happened with that driver. But here's what it adds in another contact, so you can keep adding more relays to it, and then you can just have a simple AV rack to be able to reboot all 5 of those devices individually. So that's a way you can just do multiple devices at once, or you can do an individual device as well. So let me go ahead and just change this back to Control4 programming for now. And hit it. So,
Demo AV rack has cycled power.
So that's what like the alert would be if you want an alert. Most AV stuff, I just disable these smart notifications because I don't want any alerts on, when they're rebooting, when I'm pressing the button to reboot them. I know I get visual confirmation that I'm rebooting them. So that's how you could use, to build a rack room for your clients. And like I said, with I forgot to kind of mention, so like we try to set like lighting moods, right? Like I don't set all these colors, but we'll set, different levels of temperature. We might set up a couple, like a Bronco scene if the Bronco game's on, things like that. So, those are just some lighting moods, lighting mood room you can create, a rack room you could create. And then finally, we have like our modes integration as well, your house modes. So I'm going to show these briefly. So we set these up to be able to do modes of the house in 4 different ways. You could set it up just as a plain trigger. You could set it up as a toggle. You could set it up as a cycle, or you could set it up as a group. So I'm going to show each one of these. So with the birthday party, this one is set up as a trigger. So I hit the button, it's going to launch, it's going to, show it's activating for 10 seconds and then go back to the off image. So there it turned off. After 10 seconds, it turned off. You're able to tie it to a macro. So here you'll see I tied this button press to a macro. So that's what you can do, with these, right? So let's go to the morning mode, right? So I have this tied to a morning on and a morning off, and this is set to a toggle. Okay, so let me just remind myself what I have on the programming here. So macro, morning. So morning on, I'm going to ask ChatGPT to tell us the joke of the day. It takes a little while for Chat to process this, but then I'm using my integrator tools to, output the response. So it will tell me a joke, and then it will start a playlist for me. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this out. So again, it takes just a minute here.
Here is your joke of the day. It's April 15th. Why did the Scarecrow file his taxes early? He wanted to be outstanding in his field deductions.
So there was the little joke. It's starting my playlist, right? So that's something you can do, just something like that. If I were to turn it off, it turns it off and turns off the, does my morning off macro. The next one I'm going to show is like your house modes, right? So here we have a cycle. So this is, I want it to cycle. When I press the button, it's going to do I want 3 modes I want to cycle: home, away, and vacation. So what we did is we did a 3-second delay before it triggers. So right now it's lit up in home mode, right? I don't have anything programmed to this because I don't want to mess with my house. But so if I were to hit it, it's going to away, it'll trigger it after.
Paris Home has entered away mode.
So that's the notifications you can get if you want. You could disable those if you don't want them. So if I were to hit it again, it goes to vacation mode.
Paris Home has entered vacation mode.
Okay, and then if I were to hit it one more time, it goes back to home mode. So that way they can
Paris Home has entered home mode.
So that way they can just like, okay, I want to go to vacation. I want to, whatever the mode they want to go to, they can just keep clicking and say, okay, I want to go to home mode. I'm in home mode. Okay, so that's how the cycle
Paris
works.
Home has entered home mode.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and disable those for now. I just wanted to show you what those would look like. And then again here, you could tie a macro to home mode. You could tie a macro to away mode. You could tie a macro to vacation mode. And then the next one is your group modes. So when you load in and you do it as group, it only does this one. But here you can add in additional groups, right? So I added in an away and a vacation. So right now it's showing I'm in vacation mode. Right here it says selected mode is vacation. So if I were to hit home, it turns off vacation, puts me in home mode. If I were to do away, and it says here that I'm in, this one is selected. So if I were to hit away, now it says selected mode is away. So this is just another alternative way. If you wanted to create like a home away vacation for your customers, I would just have only those 3 on this page, and then whatever mode is active, it's showing as active. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Again, then you can fire the macro you want to fire off of that mode. Again, I know, like I said, I'm covering a lot. So now let's go ahead. Holiday modes are just, they're kind of the same thing, but we kept this one super simple. So this one is just a toggle on off, and then you do your programming and on off. If you feel like we're thinking of making this to work exactly like modes integration. We created this one first because wanted to get something out before the holidays last year around December. So we wanted to create something like this. So you just have some nice buttons here to turn on off, so they can launch a mode. Kind of show you here, you can I guess toggle between different modes. And right now it's on Valentine's mode, so my Valentine's will turn my lights red and start playing some 80s love songs. So, that's kind of like, you could do stuff like that and just create different holiday modes for your customers as well. Let me go ahead and turn that off. And I'll kind of show you what you can do in programming for that. holiday modes. So like if the date is between 12:20 and 12:30, change the mode icon to the Santa icon, and then you could have your programming when the Santa icon is pressed, do this programming. So you can, set up, just one picture, and then it could change throughout the year for them. So that's something we created too. Again, when we have time, we're going to make it work exactly like modes integration to give you the options to do a trigger, toggle, cycle, or group as well. Okay, so then finally, I just created this little sound. Oh, the Detection Plus drivers we need to go over next. Sorry about that. Okay, let me get back to system design here. Okay, so first one I'm going to go over is our Battery Detection Plus driver. When you load this one in, it automatically loads in all the compatible, battery products we've made. If for some reason you have battery devices that aren't in our driver, let us know. We would just need to log into that project and see, look at the variables and add them to our table. And then going forward, those would automatically load in. The things you would need to set here is when you want it to check in. So once it checks in once a day to the batteries. So you check in, 6 p.m. it checks in. And then how many readings of bad battery levels do you want before the alert is sent? So here I have it set as 2. And then again here, do you want to repeat the notifications? This is a once a day repeater. So do you want to keep repeating it every day until they replace the batteries? You can go from there. If you need to change these levels, you could do that. So I'm just going to show you the web UI for this. So here you can see it shows you all of the devices and where they're currently standing, right? So all of them are above my 35% level. So I'm going to change this to 70%. I'm going to hit set. I'm going to go ahead and scan the devices here. So scanning. Now it shows this one is in warning. So it says here that 5 total devices, 1 is in warning. Okay, 0 are in alert. It's in warning because we set it to have 2 alerts before it goes off, right? So I'm going to go ahead and scan one more time.
Attention! Potential low battery found from Theater SR260 remote.
So that's what the alert would sound like for your customers. You could clear them and it would go from there. So, and I forgot to show you, I'm just going to run this one more time just so you can see the button and see what it looks like here.
Attention! Potential low battery found from Theater SR260 remote.
So here it shows the battery is low, right? So this is just the customer can visibly see on their Control4 touchscreen or when they log into their phone onto their home page. Oh, I have a low battery. Let me see which one it is. Okay, here it is. Okay, it's that one. So that's how they could easily find out what's going on in their house on their own, right? So we're just going to go and clear that. It's cleared. Now it's back to normal. I'm going to go and set this back to the normal 35. We set it at 35 because we found that door locks, once they get below like 30%, they stop working. So that's why we set this at 35. But you can adjust it however you want, right? So that's battery detection. I have next one I'm going to show is the leak detection. This works a lot like the power, where you just connect multiple water sensors to it. And then once any of those water sensors detect a leak, it will show that there's a leak and it will warn you, okay? So I have voice alerts turned on. You could also just run this as a test. You don't have to, trigger a real, water leak or whatever. So I'm going to do that here.
Attention! Possible water leak detected from test.
So again, that said test because there is not a real leak, but that you can see again there, it shows the water leak. Very, very informative for your customers. They have a leak, they can go to that. We are thinking of making a web UI for this one as well, just like we had batteries. So any water sensors that are connected to it, you'll be able to look at those and see which one it is. But if they're we've tested this, if there's multiple sensors detecting a leak, it will tell you every single sensor that is in leak, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and clear this one. So there it goes back to normal. And then the last Detection Plus driver we have is your Climate Detection Plus, right? So again, this would be, it tracks temperature and humidity, okay? Let me just go to the web page real quick for this one. So you can kind of see what it does here. And I'll try to show it off here as well. So when the temperature is normal, you just get black, right? It just shows the temperature and that's it. And it says that it's monitoring devices. If it crosses your low threshold, the thermostat will turn blue. It will tell you low temperature alert, and it will say it's reached the low temperature threshold. If it goes to the high, it will turn red. And again, there it will say high temperature critical and so forth there, right? Humidity, there is no reporting. It just turns green if there's a humidity alert, okay? So that's what the temperature does, and I'll try to show that here in this demo. But again, here you'll see, I just wanted to show you, they do have all their thresholds. So here I have this set. While I'm describing this, I'm going to go ahead and put my temperature sensor into a glass of ice cold water. So how I have this set up is that it needs to stay in that threshold for more than, oops, shoot. Hopefully this will work. I forgot to change this back down to 1 minute. So it needs to, once it goes into that threshold, it needs to sustain that threshold for a minute before it sends the alerts, okay? And I actually don't know, I forgot if I turned on alerts for this. Let me look here. Climate. Okay, yes, I do have the low climate set up here, so apologize for that. But again, here too, humidity, it's set at 5 minutes. One thing I want to point out that's very important on these is this sustain time is very important. If your device only reports every 10 minutes, set it to 10 minutes. There's some device, like our driver only gets, so right now it is at 29 degrees, right? But it hasn't turned blue yet, because it hasn't sustained that time for a minute yet, okay? But once it does, it'll turn blue and send us the alert. But again, like so what I was saying with the sensors, if they take 10 minutes to report, you want to do a 10-minute, sustain time. One thing that's cool too is in here, the extras tab. So it is showing here that it is in temperature warning. But in the extras tab, they can adjust all these themselves. So they can adjust these alerts themselves here. So let's go back to here, and hopefully it's not still set at 5 minutes because I changed it after the thing happened. But we'll just keep moving. While we're waiting on this to show up, is there any other questions or comments? Oh, there it went.
Temperature warning demo basement fridge is reporting 29 degrees, which is below 61 degrees Fahrenheit.
So there was the alert. There's how it works. Hope that makes sense to everybody. I'm taking it out so we don't keep getting repeat alerts. But that's how the climate detection works. I think if you think we need to we've talked about making a high temperature, because this only goes up to like 100 and what's the highest it goes to? 119 degrees. Like if you think there would be like somebody needing it for like a hot tub, a sauna, or a barbecue smoker, something like that, we could look into making a high temperature one only. So just let us know, in the comments or in an email or something if you think that would be an important item as well. So let me go back to finally the sound room here. So with our custom icons here. So I'll just go to this fart noise one here. So I'm going to go to the custom
temperature warning. Second notice. Demo basement fridge is reporting 30 degrees, which is below 61 degrees Fahrenheit.
Sorry about that. But there you can see how it did a second notice, right? So I think that's pretty cool too. So you built in like what notice are we on and stuff. So real quick, I'll show you these load custom icons again. So here I just loaded in, so the one I'm on now is the Broncos. That one is the Bronco one, okay? I just loaded in a Bronco image and it will show there, right? And then, so just to trigger this, so like I have this triggering my, my sound effects driver to launch a fart noise here. So you can do that. It turns happy. It's going to go sad. I'm going to do a bugle noise now. Like if I want to wake up my kids in their kids' bedroom, I could do something like that, right?
Temperature warning, third notice.
Sorry
Demo
about that.
basement
I
fridge
should have
is
turned off
recording
repeat.
43 degrees, which is below 61 degrees Fahrenheit.
Sorry, I should have turned off the repeat notifications. But there you can just see how it works in action, right? Again, here, you could do a good night button. This is our normal good night button, but if I were to launch this one.
All right, Haley, it is time for bed. This is your last warning. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so you can just do like different little fun things if you wanted to for your clients as well. If you like I was just saying, like with my kids, if I had this earlier, if they had set up like a little Disney room or something like that, you could just set them up with their phone, a whole bunch of little Disney sounds, and they could just fire off Disney sounds or Star Wars sounds or whatever, right? You could do lots of different things here. So
Demo basement fridge is back in range at 68 degrees Fahrenheit.
okay, so sorry about that. So you're getting the full gamut of the climate detection, but there it told us it's back in range, which is another good thing to know. So that's pretty much, like I said, those are all of the drivers that are part of this bundle. Again, here, like I said, the biggest things I want to point out is the ability to, when you're handing it off to your customers, right? Once you set up the drivers, you don't have to program any notifications. They can just go in here and do them themselves. Okay, while we're waiting on that, George asked, how do the icons look in OS4? If they're talking about the custom icons, they look pretty good as well. They are a little bit smaller, so again, you just play with that. The key thing is all of our icons are a 300 by 300 pixel size PNG image. So as long as you a lot of these you can create in AI software now too. Just say create me this, right? You'll see here on the like this fart noise one. I just had I had chat make me an emoji with with that face, right? So, but you see there's that black background, right? So that's something you would have to go into like a Photoshop, get rid of the background, so it just shows the emoji. So those are things you could play around with. Again, if you want us to create these custom icons for you, we could do that. It's a one-time charge. You could use them forever in any of your projects. So, but we've been about an hour now, so this last bit I'm just going to leave to questions or comments. But again, if you're leaving, if you can answer the survey, that'd be greatly appreciated. Also, if you want a private demo, I'd be happy to spend time with you and your team to see how we can make this work best for your Control4 business. I mean, that's what we made these for. We made these for our own business, and now we're just trying to kind of show other Control4 dealers this is what we do, and we hope you find value in it. And like, okay, yeah, I wanna do these things as well. Okay, it looks like there's no more questions rolling in here. So I appreciate everybody for joining. See you on the next one, hopefully. And again, if you have any questions, just feel free to email us. Thanks and have a great day.